Stephen Doyle here with Brian Kerr after a pretty exciting game here at Old Trafford. Brian, Manchester United won, Everton won. I think you thought it was a pretty fair result in the end.
I thought it was a fair result, but I thought it was a very good game. It was, mostly all out attack by both teams. Certainly United's approach was along those lines. They played with the same vibrancy and dash that we've seen in the recent matches. Obviously the win over Spurs and Manchester City, they were very good in both games. We pair of us saw them at Sheffield United, and it was only sporadic that we saw that type of play, that spell in the second half when they got 3 goals and 11-minute spell to get into a lead. But today I thought United were very good at times. Unfortunate to lose the goal, which gave Everton something to hang on to, and they nearly did. And then when they conceded the equaliser, they had to go to try and win the match themselves. But a good match, and I think both managers will, to use the phrase that's most common now with managers, take positives from the game. I think both managers will take lots of positives from that game.
Well, one man that's oozing positivity at the moment is Mason Greenwood. I know you're a big fan of his, and he is getting crucial goals now for Manchester United. When you look at the likes of Martial and possibly Jesse Lingard as well, maybe not playing that well at the moment, how long before he starts pushing for a starting place in this United team? Or is 18 years of age, is he still a bit too young?
I don't see him being a regular ahead. I mean, I feel that the front line, Daniel James, Rashford and Martial, is actually playing very well at the moment. I mean, I think Lingard has been a little bit less so. He's not been a regular. He's not been getting his game. He's had his problems this season. But in recent matches, when he came on against Sheffield United, he had a big impact on the match. Played well here, I thought, against Villa too. And then he made good contribution last week at Manchester City and in the Spurs game. So I think Lingard's been doing all right. But with the see Greenwood start, I see him much like Rashford when he came in as a young lad. He got the physical strength to play as the main man centre forward as he would have as a youth player. Forced to play wide, similar to Rashford and Martial when they came in, when Lukaku was here. Alexis Sanchez was here, they're squeezed out a bit more. Now this year, Lukaku and Sanchez are gone, so Martial and Rashford are in the team. Martial playing in his position, probably his best position. I have a feeling he might like playing with somebody else up front, but I don't see Greenwood being, taking any of those players' places in the immediate term. But there'll always be opportunities because of fitness issues. There may be even suspensions, injuries, all sorts of things. So he's a very good squad player and having an impact coming on in big matches, not just the Europa League, where United have been much better than Astana, Partizan and AZ in general, although they lost to Astana and they lost away to. But in general, they've been better than those teams. Whereas the Premier League, the matches are much more even. He's made an impact. He scored a couple of goals. When you say I like him, I like his mentality and his technical ability to be able to go in at 18 years of age into a Premier League, into heat of battle, away to Sheffield United, Bramall Lane, raucous Bramall Lane that day, get a goal. And then come on today when the rest were struggling to find a way to score, and he scored, and it wasn't an easy chance.
Yeah, it was a great finish. Just on United, Victor Lindelof, there was a quote from him a couple of weeks ago saying that their problem was that they were really switched on for the big games against the likes of, say, Man City last week, Tottenham the week before, but it was against the weaker sides in the division that they really just weren't being switched on enough and they weren't focused enough on those games. Is this United season, are they just going to be, stuttering from one good result to another kind of average result and just hovering around that 7th, 8th position, or maybe up to 6th, 5th,
well,
and not getting into the top 4?
We don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely an improvement in recent weeks. The last match they've lost was away to Bournemouth when they played quite poorly, but they were after been on a fair run before that, and since then the results have been good. I mean, I was here when they beat Brighton 3-1 and they played very well indeed. Then we had the 2 draws. with Sheffield United and Aston Villa, which were frustrating for them, given both of those were teams that come up from the Championship last year. But Sheffield United are proving their mettle week in, week out, and Villa looked a half decent side here, I have to say, on that in that game. Since then, beating Spurs, beating Manchester City, and fair enough draw today. I mean, Everton didn't come here to lie down. They've had a little bit of a surge now with Duncan Ferguson in at the moment, coming off a good result. So that's fair. What's that? Three wins and 3 draws from the last 6 games, which is not bad. It's what,
unbeaten 6,
12 points from 8 in, and while they're combining the Europa League matches. But the Christmas matches will tell a tale. You've got 4 games tight together. League games, busy schedule, and they've not got the most difficult programme over that time. So, I think there's a bit more consistency about it. If you look at the team, it's become more stable looking. The team today was the same team as last week. You look at centre halves, that's the partnership that's playing regularly. You look at the midfield, and it's the same partnership. Fred and McTominay have settled into. Still no Pogba available to them. Few other players out injured, but some of them are probably available. Jones is probably available, and he won't get into the team after his performance against Sheffield United, the likes of Rojo. But he's definitely gone towards the younger group. It appears that's what the club want. That's what the policy is, a younger profile. They're the youngest team in the league on a regular basis. Average age just around the 25 years mark. They had the youngest team that ever played in the Premier League against Brighton a few weeks ago. So, that's where the action is for them, and he is taking them along that road. That we talked about the pressure now that Pochettino was available after the Sheffield United game, and we talked about it again after the Aston Villa game, but that's quieting down a little bit now after the last week. But certainly the style of football today, there was nobody left this ground saying, we need to get back to the old style and the Fergie style and all that. People who were here today were entertained. They saw a youthful team playing with verve and vim and attacking quality and intent. That's what I saw, and they took risks in chasing the equaliser and in chasing the winner.
Just to ask you quickly before I ask you about Seamus, Coleman, if they were going to sign anybody in January, what area of the pitch? I'm kind of looking at that United team, possibly a central midfield. They could do with signing somebody in there, maybe.
Well, if Pogba goes, there was talk about Pogba going before, that he wanted to go.
Well, that's enough, because he's got this ankle injury, but he's been playing basketball down in America. What's going on?
Well, it does seem odd that he hasn't been around and that they're allowing him to get treatment far, far away. I would have thought that Manchester United would have a very strong team of physios and medical people here that could treat, that have seen it all before. It seems very strange that they would allow one of the most
valuable assets,
a very phrase, to float about and do his own thing many miles from Manchester. That seems odd, but I think we will see. We have to presume we will see him back in the United team before the end of this season, and then evaluate whether they need another midfield players. I think Fred has settled down into a much more effective player than what we saw in the early part of this season and last season. And McTominay has become such a key man. Did they need another player in there? Of course they would need another player that would add to that. But at the moment, I think the pair of them are doing quite well. And if they had Pogba, would give them another option. He lacks consistency, but maybe within this team. I mean, it appears they've got back some of the values that most people thought were very important to Manchester United. And Pogba doesn't always fit with that, I would say. When you be talking about a lack of bling and humility and a team player and low key and professionalism and get on with it. He doesn't really sit in with those. He's exuberant and he's extravagant and he's got different coloured hair and he's very much bling and extrovert. But you know, with those guys, if they can deliver for you in the match and do their stuff, and they're exceptional and they produce and they're match winners, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to come back. He owes them one now because he's done nothing for months. He hasn't played. You want to come back here and do your stuff and get on with it.
Brian, I'm going to reveal some news to you, because I've just been talking to Seamus, Coleman, the Irish captain, down in the tunnel there, and on the day of his 300th Everton appearance, which really is a fantastic record, he told us that he actually played with that rib injury that he's been out with for the last few weeks, called upon obviously because the fact that Sidibe was down with an illness. That kind of epitomises the kind of player that Seamus Coleman has been over those 300 appearances for Everton, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's no surprise really to hear that. I mean, I don't, you know, he's obviously had something that's kept him out of the group for the last few weeks. He wasn't on the bench. I mean, I think he had lost his place based on performances. He hadn't been playing that well. He was part of the defence that was getting ripped apart, and the manager was sacked as a result. But, you know, fair play to him getting out and play today. Everton supporters love him. He's highly respected in the club. He's highly respected in Ireland. He's a sensational lad.
Is he one of the best Irish players we've seen in the Premier League? Where would he rank, do you think, in that maybe top 5, top 10?
Take me a bit of time to assess that. He's playing in an era in the Premier League where we have had very few other Irish players playing in the Premier League. That's the truth of it. This year's been a bit different since Sheffield United come up, and we had 3 players, well, sorry, we had 4 if you include Callum Robinson, who are nearly regulars in the Sheffield United team. And outside that, those players and the Burnley players, the 3 at Burnley who have been, you know, Kevin Long, he's not playing regular. Jeff Hendrick is playing regular. Brady has not been playing right.
Yeah.
We had Stephen Ward when he was there, but they've been our Premier League players for the last 6-7 years. We haven't had anyone else who's been playing on a regular basis. So Seamus has probably been the best in that era. But over the whole Premier League era, I'd have to evaluate that, because we've had a lot of decent players over that time in the Premier League. It's just that in recent times we haven't had Irish players good enough to get consistent places in near the upper echelons of the Premier League.
He did say that Duncan Ferguson gave a very inspirational speech to the players before they kicked off the game today. Look, would there be any harm in just letting him take the tiller for the next few games, and maybe Everton, Mashiri and Kenwright up in the director's box, maybe just to take their time and to assess what the club needs? I don't know if Ancelotti's the right man. Is he really for Everton at this moment in time?
Well, there's no one in Everton telling us they're dealing with they're talking to Ancelotti anyway, so we don't know if that's the case. Duncan Ferguson won, you know, in the space of a very short time, they've got 2 very good results where they're coming off the back of what's been a poor season. They had them down near the bottom 3, and you know, coming off three defeats in a row. Norwich, Leicester, hiding them off Liverpool in the derby match. Now they've got 4 points, which brings a little bit of hope and stability. But we've seen all this before with Everton. They've had more managers in the last few years than most clubs around, chopping and changing and bringing in new managers halfway through the season to rescue a situation where they thought they were going to have a good season. I wouldn't be surprised, given that the 2 performances and the 2 results, if they left Ferguson there for a while longer, to see how it pans out, while they identify what they consider to be the right man. They haven't been very good at picking managers.
Well, it seems that Mashiri seems to, because he's got such a control of the club now with regards to his shares and that kind of thing, he's the main shareholder there now. He seems to want control of the decision, which he did with Marco Silva, and you know, maybe that wasn't the right decision. Well, it wasn't the right decision, as we found out.
They had Sam Allardyce, and Sam got them results and got them up to a very respectable finish last year. Was it 10th or 8th last year, and or 2 years ago? And they weren't happy with that, you know. And they identified Ronald Koeman before that, and it didn't work out with him either. So they've had a bit of a succession of people that it hasn't worked out with either. So I don't think they've been very good picking what they really, really want.
Yeah.
You know, which is they seem to want someone that understands the history of Everton and the type of game that Everton fans like, and who can get them results playing that way. So, you know, I don't know what way they're going, but for the time being, they've got themselves out of the mire a little bit by the 2 results, and let's see how it goes over the 4 games. It's been difficult for them because so many players out injured, so many. When you look at the team today, and Sidibe, I think, would have started. You, I think, would agree. Sigurdsson and Sneijderlin would have played in the middle of the field had they been fit and well. Theo Walcott would probably have started as well. But then you're looking at other ones outside of that group. Gamian, I think, the lad they signed expensively pre-season, he's hardly played at all. You know, there's a lot of players there. Gomez, who was their best midfield player, he's out of the picture. You know what I mean? He's just back from an injury as well. And they've had a lot of problems. So fair play to them getting a result with the team they had out today with the 2 young lads in the middle of the field, Holgate and Davies, who did very well, I thought.
Thanks, Brian.